you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anywhere on the planet, minute by minute, day by day, all of the time, all of the time, all of the time.
Good morning and welcome to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and right off the bat, we want to thank you for tuning in, for listening. We anxiously anticipate your calls, so thank you. Thank you. When you do call, please, ma'am, please, sir, make it brief. And if you have a VGQ, please make it brief because we only have 2 hours. And we know you'd like to get it all in, but because we are under a constraint of those 2 hours, please, ma'am, please, sir, be conscious of that and make it brief so that Mr. Fuller can answer your question. And you know that he uses examples. He uses examples to illustrate whatever point that he's trying to make, and sometimes these are lengthy. As a matter of fact, he has asked me, and I hate to do that, but he has asked me if he gets a little too long-winded or out of bounds or maybe obscuring the point to bring him back in. I personally do not like to correct Mr. Fuller, but I try to inch him back if he's getting out. So, because whatever he has to say as a suggestion is very important for us to know because we are still learning. So, please, ma'am, please, sir, when you ask your questions, please be brief with that. Now, concerning that number, you already know, those of you who are on, but those of you who are new, that number is 516-453-9921. And if you are a first-time caller, please make sure that you tell the person who accepts the call from you that you are a first-time caller, and you go to what I call a priority status. In other words, you will be heard. So you can do that. Again, please be brief on that. You can also join the chat room, as many have. All you have to do for that is to go to blogtalkradio.com. You want to click on programs, you do that, and when you do that, then a list of shows will come up. And the show that you want is the Produce Justice Show. You click on that, and I believe to the right there is an icon for the chat room, and you hit that, and then you are in the chat room. And lastly, if you do not want to do the 2 above, you can do this. You can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, MRBOBBY, at gmail.com, and I will get it and read it and let you know at the time when it will be read so you can hear your Gmail on that. And we do get a lot of responses for that, and I do have a stack of Gmails that I need to get to. Okay, announcements. I erroneously reported that Mr. Fuller will be on the Carl Nelson Show last week on the 19th. Well, obviously, for those of you who did tune in, you didn't hear Mr. Fuller on the Carl Nelson Show. But it was reaffirmed to me again this day that Mr. Fuller will be on the Carl Nelson Show this Thursday at 8 a.m. And to my knowledge, we will have the show on our site at producejustice.com from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. Mr. Fuller will be on that show. Okay, let me see here. Make sure I get that announcement out the way. Okay, now, and again, last week I made this thing about the audio book. It was sent to me, and then I got a response from our research team, and this is what they said. The research team researched it, and after researching this we can find no evidence of anyone selling an audio version of Mr. Fuller's book on Amazon. The email/link you received is a common promotional tool used by Amazon to promote its audiobook store by using its authors as a draw. The team followed the link and joined the audiobook platform and discovered that the audiobook by Mr. Fuller is not, N-O-T, not available. The information that you read on air was actually a passage from Mr. Fuller's author's page. We will closely monitor this development and will keep you posted if anything changes. And that came from the team here. The team here researches everything because we don't want to put out something that is not true. So that's the information on the audiobooks. And Mr. Fuller already said that he has not authorized anyone to do anything like that in the first place. So that information is still relevant. So now you know about the audiobooks. Now, listen. Anybody that wants to get in contact with Mr. Fuller, now, some of you really think that you could, talk to me or send me stuff, and I will forward it to Mr. Fuller. Well, Mr. Fuller has a lot on his desk, a lot on his table. He deals with a lot. And this is what you do. You can't go through me to get Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller and I do not really speak that much over the telephone unless I have a question that I want to ask him. And being codified, that is how he answers me when I ask a question about that, because I am still learning also. And get his suggestions as to what I might do or not want to do. Mr. Fuller does not tell me what to do. Mr. Fuller and I do not rehearse this show. It's completely as it is, with mistakes and all. And, yes, we are going to make mistakes, which is why I always offer a sincere apology all the time because of the constant mistakes that we make trying to get better. But for those who want to get in contact with Mr. Fuller, the best way to do it is by going to contact@producejustice.com. I'll say it again, contact@producejustice.com. Whatever you write, put it in there, and then they will forward that to Mr. Fuller and go from there. So please, ma'am, please, sir, even though Mr. Fuller and I discuss things over the air, I'm not the conduit that you need to get to Mr. Fuller, whatever it is that you are offering. We do appreciate your interest in trying to help in that, but this is what you have to do. Mr. Fuller does a lot of things, and he is requested a lot to do a lot of different things. But this is how you get in contact with Mr. Fuller, not by me. Okay, I believe that is it for the announcements that I have to make. So let's go on with the show. Let me present to some and introduce to others Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. Mr. Fuller, good morning, and how are you?
Good morning. I'm still learning.
Okay. What we're going to do, people, is that we have a segment called The Thoughts and Expressions on the Mind of Neely Fuller, Jr. Now, I took an extra 3 minutes, which I didn't want to, but I had to get those announcements out of the way. So, Mr. Fuller, I did cut into your time a little bit. So what is on your mind on this day, Tuesday, September the 24th, 2024? What is on your mind, Mr. Fuller?
Contact should be, when I say our, I mean everybody on the planet. Every contact should produce in capital letters a constructive result. One person contacting another, whatever that contact is, everybody should think about this. I mean, start keeping a diary or something. I was thinking this morning myself, yesterday, for instance, how many contacts did I make? And I don't try to keep track of that, but I try to keep track of
the nature of the contacts. I got on the elevator, and I was the only one on the elevator. And when it got to the next floor, the next stop on the elevator, someone got on with me. And so I said, what floor? And the person said, well, gave me the floor number, and I punched it for them because I had access. I was standing right there where you punch the numbers in. So that was a contact. So as a courtesy, the person had packages in their hands and all like that. So I asked them that, and they gave me the floor number. And when we got out, the person said, when I got off, the person said, have a good one, like we usually do, a good one. That's a slogan, a standard almost. I mean, in the English language, people say, have a good one, or something to that order. And that was my contact, except for just a little later, I talked to someone on a financial matter, and all day long I didn't have any contact with anybody because I wasn't around anybody that I knew that I was supposed to have contact with or something. And so that's the only contacts I remember for all yesterday. But basically what I'm saying is I heard a lot of other people having contacts on their cell phones, and it was blankety blank this and blankety blank that. Those that I could hear who were talking loud enough. Now, I didn't have any contacts like that. So I'm saying when you hear all that profanity and whatnot of anybody who's having these contacts, according to the code, you're not supposed to be having contacts like that. Ever. Ever. No contact, no conflict. That's in the code book. And whenever you have contact with somebody, every last one of those contacts, you should come away saying, now that was a very constructive conversation. And the person on the other end should be saying the same thing. That's why you hear all that gunfire out there. Non-constructive contacts all over the world, not just among black people, among white people. Non-constructive contacts. You can't, from what I hear, when I turn on the news, what are they reporting mostly? Non-constructive contacts. The sheriff can't get along with his deputy. So the sheriff shoots his deputy. Non-constructive contact. That's what you would call that by any measure, worldwide. And so, if everybody just made a pledge to themselves, a codified pledge, I'm going to minimize all non-constructive contacts. And I'm going to keep track of everything that is non-constructive and see that I don't ever do that again. Starting this moment, I'm going to have all constructive contacts as best I can. And if I look in my diary and see where I had a non-constructive contact at the end of my day yesterday, I'm going to find out what that contact was all about, and I'm going to make a maximum effort to see that I don't ever in life have that kind of contact again with that person or any other person, because that particular contact went south. And so that's what's on my mind today. Okay. No contacts, no conflicts. You just make up a vow, a codified vow. That's a solid part of the code. That's one of the first things that went into the code. And we keep having, sometimes welcoming, seeking out these conflicts that we know that when we talk to this person, it's going to be conflict. We already know that. No, you avoid those kind of contacts. Completely. Over and over again. And all over the world, tacky, trashy, terroristic. These are the kind of contacts that dominate this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to keep saying it and keep saying it and keep saying it, because if we're going to be codified, regardless of who the person is, figure out a way in advance. Now, I've been having contact with this person, and every last one of them have gone, to use a slang expression, gone south, meaning it's been a contact that's sour taste.
Okay.
I mean, so I think everything would be cleared up if we just devoted ourselves to that. Everything.
Mm-hmm. All righty. All right. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Tuesday, September 24th, 2024, Counter Racist Code Show. 516-453-9921 is the contact number. Keep in mind that in order to listen, you have to hear. But in order to hear, you have to listen. And that is obscured because most people cannot do that or don't do that. They can, but they don't. Why? Selfishness. Selfishness. My way. I don't want to hear what anybody else has to say. That's not good. Not good at all. So some of you on the line, I'm getting ready to go to you right now. Keep in mind, hearing and listening and hearing. Mr. Walker, I want you to get ready. Are you ready, Mr. Walker? Here it comes. Mr. Walker. Good morning, Mr. Walker. You're on.
Yeah, good day, Mr. Bobby. Good day, Mr. Fuller. I just got a VGQ, if that's fine.
Proceed.
All right. My VGQ is if you have knowledge, let others light their candle in it. That's it's a quote by Margaret Fuller.
Could you repeat that? I didn't hear that clearly.
If you have knowledge, let others light their candles in it.
Okay.
It's a quote. It's a quote from Margaret Fuller.
Uh-huh. Okay, a quote. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Can I see the line, Mr. B?
It's coming in broken up. I can't hear him either.
You were a little broken up, Mr. Walker. It was a quote.
Did you hear what he said?
I didn't hear it clearly. I didn't hear it clearly. Could you repeat that one more time, Mr. Walker?
Yes. If you have knowledge, let others light their candles in it.
Oh, okay. If you have knowledge, let others light their candle in it?
Yes.
Who said that?
Margaret Fuller.
Margaret Fuller?
Of the 1850s, of the 1800s.
Okay, Margaret Fuller. Okay, all right. All right.
I'd like to stay online, Mr. Bobby.
Oh, see if I have room for you. Yeah, okay, all right. You're there, Mr. Walker. Okay. All righty, let's go to Blacktop. Wait a minute, let me go over here. Blacktop, okay, wait a minute, there we get it up in there. Okay, Blacktop, you're on with Mr. Fuller.
How you doing today, Mr. Fuller? Mr. Bobby, how are you doing?
Good,
I'm
sir.
still learning.
So I just want to ask this question. Have you or any of your ideas on code, have they ever been described to you as defeatist? And if so, how did you respond to that?
Okay. Mr. Fuller?
If I did what?
Your quotes or your thoughts have been classified as defeatist?
Defeatist?
Yeah.
Well, some people have said that, and so I don't classify. I like to think that everything that I say produces a constructive result. Capital letters, flashing lights that say constructive results. Now, first of all, I look for the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I try to tell the truth, because this program and my books are all about problem solving, not making problems, trying to solve problems that are already being made. That's what the entire ProduceJustice.com is about. The textbook for victims of racism is all about, not defeatists. So the person would have to tell me anything that I have said. How is it defeatist?
Mm-hmm.
If I understand the word defeatist. In other words, gloom and doom, from what slang expression, that we're, that we got problems that we can't solve.
Mm-hmm.
My entire code is about solving problems, not throwing up both hands and saying nothing can be done. But I am saying we're not going to correct any problem between people without the concept of justice being made into a reality, and everything in the code books and everything on this program that is said is supposed to be said with that in mind. Constructive results. I just finished starting off this program, and I'm going to continue to do that. So I'll be repetitious because it's got to sink in somewhere. I don't think it's defeatist to say, when you make a contact with anybody, when you come away from that contact, you say, now that was a constructive conversation. I gained. I didn't lose anything from that conversation. I'm not angry about anything that was said because everything went smoothly. Suppose everybody in the world was saying that right now, including the so-called Middle East and all of that, and what's going on in Springfield, Ohio, with the Haitians, and what's that all about, and what Mr. Trump is saying about Ms. Kamala Harris, Mrs. Presidential candidate Kamala Harris, and back and forth. See, lots of hostility, harsh words being said, many of them on a personal level. None of that should exist. None of that. And everything that I'm saying on this program should be in that same category of no hostile nothing. Don't have hostility against anything except hostility itself. I mean, against anybody being hostile. People shouting, raising their voices, cursing, trying to figure out new ways to curse. The code says, stop cursing just on that alone. Stop using profanity if you can get around it. I mean, just train yourself. You don't need that. Not to produce what? The most constructive results. So if the caller wants to, you can give me an idea of what I have said on this program. That is, nothing can be done. They're saying that, or sounds like it's saying that mistakes cannot be corrected. That what is going on in the world now that needs to be corrected can't be corrected. No. Codification is not about that at all. It's about making everything the way, in plain English, the way it ought to be rather than the way that it is. Including being defeatist. So anything that I say that sounds like it's being defeatist, let's go over that, because that's something that needs to be corrected. No confidence. Going forward, as they say, to use a cliche saying, another slang. I'm using one of those slangs now. I mean, and so, no, it's correcting everything that needs corrected, because lots of things need to be corrected.
Yes.
Thousands.
All righty. Okay. All righty. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Before we go to break, there's a new book in publication. It's out now, and it's called The Barn. If any of you want to know about this or should know about this, it's called The Barn, and it's by Wright Thompson. And what it basically exposes the deep racist roots that are still in play, by the way. But it exposes a little more information, and I may use these are my words, cover up of what happened to Emmett Till. I don't know, Mr. Fuller, you're very familiar with that, but it goes in depth. The barn, they have pictures of it, what's discovered, and how the racist covered that up as if it almost didn't exist, almost like it didn't exist. Very, very good review on the book. You might want to, get some crib notes on it or whatever. But it goes into the history of what racists do in the killing or obscuring history or lying of it. And you saw symbols of it. Many of you that listened to the program saw what they did to George Floyd, Rodney King, Eric Garner, and all. Knee on the neck in front of a camera and holding it there for 9 minutes. I can't breathe. And many other things, towns and so forth, being burnt to the ground. Yeah, they expose it. The Barn, check that out. Same tactics are in place. Let's take a break. You are listening to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr., and we are delighted that you have chosen to be with us. Now, the contact number is 516-453-9921. Press the number 1 button, and when the contact person addresses you, give them your name so that I can give you an introduction. You first-time callers, the same thing, but make sure that you tell them that you are a first-time caller. Chat room is available, blogtalkradio.com. Click on programs. When that menu comes up, then it has a list of shows you want to produce, Justice Show. Click on that, you are in. Or you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, MrBobby, @gmail.com. I will get it and read it at a date and let you know about it. FYI, Fuller is on this Thursday on the Carl Nelson Show from 8 until 10 a.m., and it is on our website at producejustice.com, producejustice.com. And if there's something that you want to say to Mr. Fuller that you don't have time enough to do it on the air, or you have a suggestion or whatever, all you have to do is this address here, contact@producejustice.com. That's contact@producejustice.com. The book that Mr. Fuller will be and has been referring to, he may do others, but it is the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, and you can get that by going to producejustice.com. Producejustice.com. Everything as far as the logistics is concerned has been worked out, so you should have no problem in getting that book. No problem in getting that. Okay, let me see here. Where am I to go to next? Okay. Let's do this Gmail here. Okay. It says, this is, am I to mention the name here? Yeah, I guess I could. Randy says this. Hi. I want to know Mr. Fuller's opinion if white supremacy treats certain blacks like toys. The reason I'm asking is because the recent arrest of P. Diddy, a celebrity who, in my opinion, since he's in the genre of hip-hop, I know a lot of black criminals listen to that music according to date, and he's worth $700 million. Ms. Fuller? And what's your opinion?
The white supremacists practice white supremacy, and that is to dominate and mistreat black people, not to be quality people. And they teach that. So don't expect black people to do anything that makes sense in the system of white supremacy, because the white supremacists do not intend for black people to make sense in things that we do. Even when we have tons of money, we just look at it, pile it up, and then say, well, now, I got all this money, and what am I going to do with it? Well, look around and see what other black people have always done. And so we do that, I guess, and we look and see what white people are doing. So it turns out, according to what I've written, that on the planet Earth, here in the year 2024, people interact with each other in three ways: tacky, trashy, and terroristic. Now, what did I say? People. I'm talking about white people, black people. So people kind of look to the white supremacists as sending the correct signals. So the biggest signal that the white supremacists send is murder. Worship murder more than anything. If you don't do anything in life, I mean, read a book about murder. I mean, teach everybody else all about how to go and conquer somebody and have what you call body counts. How many bodies stacked up today? There was a drive-by shooting. How many? Only 10? It was 15 last week. Oh, we got to get on that. And we need some more murders. We don't have enough. And so black people, they look around and say, well, what's the biggest thing on our menu for this month? Murder. Hey, you know, what else is there? I mean, how are you going to have fun without murder? say, well, we're supposed to have a party over there. How are you going to have fun at a party without murder? I mean, are you crazy? Now, that's what the white supremacists put out.
Mm-hmm.
And so we absorb that because we're not, whatever the world is doing as a whole, and you mentioned one individual or whatnot. This is what they want from any black person that they give money to. Now do something stupid with your money. I got plenty of money. The white supremacists, we own all the money. Don't start talking about if you're black, your money. You don't have any money under us unless we give it to you. And the only money you care anything about better have a slave master's picture on it. How about that, black boy? Okay? You sitting there showing off how much money you got, but your picture ain't on it. And even if your picture is on it, and we'll get around to doing that because that's symbolic. You all like symbols, but we still control it because we control you. So all you got to do when you control, the code says, if I control a person, I control everything that they have. So if you're black and you talking about your mansion, you don't have a mansion.
You don't have a mansion.
You don't own anything. If I own you, then that will account for everything that you do. Because I raised you. You are my illegitimate child. So every black person should wake up in the morning and go to bed at night thinking about that. Now, I hope that that's not defeatist, because that's the truth. That should inspire you. I don't want to be owned. That should be an inspiration. It is to me. I don't know how it affects other people. But I hear black people, I'm my own person. Okay, you can say that. Where's the evidence? I do what I want to. Don't nobody tell me to do nothing and I got to do it. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? Is that true? Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
So I hope I answered the question.
Okay. Yeah, you did, Mr.
Correctly.
Yeah. You
be
did.
Correct.
Yeah, you did. Listen, everybody, you have to remember that you have to stay focused. That's why Fuller always talks about the Shawshank Redemption. And I bring that up because I'm thinking about Andy Dufresne. Some people like it, some don't. But Andy Dufresne stayed codified. He kept focused on what he wanted to do, the 4 wants. The 4 wants, page 171, 172 in the code book. He stayed focused. And when he got out of focus, which we will at times, when he used the word, I think it was obtuse, and he was punished for that, what did he do? He got back in focus and said, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to say that word anymore, and regain the trust of the warden and so forth. And that's what we must do in this system. We must how about this? Not only stay focused, but be codified in everything that we do. And when we get out of that, get back in it. All right. Dollar Bill, get ready. Corey, I think you might be next. But Dollar Bill, get ready. Give it to us. Okay. Wait a minute. There we go. Dollar Bill, give it to us.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby. Good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you both. I hope that my sound is coming in quality. I'm speaking through my phone, not headphones, anything like that, because I know it does not give a clear transmission. Okay. Yes, everything is definitely positive. Thank you for all those thoughts you gave out. I'm not sure I came in a little late if you mentioned anything about keeping healthy, but I've been trying to do my best at that again. And your advice on that always, Mr. Fuller and Mr. Bobby, is quite influential. So today I'm going to go right to the book. I wanted to say something about, where is it now? You speak on page 109 in your book.
Which book now? Which volume?
It's going to be what is this one? The first
84?
volume. Yes.
84 edition? Wait a minute. Okay. What page?
Page 109. 109.
109. Okay. All right. Proceed.
And you say, do not speak and or act as if you are doing what you are supposed to be doing, your duty, during any period in which you are not promoting justice. You then go into your reasons for that, and you give the two major types of people activity in the known universe, which is promotion of justice and or maintaining of the status quo. And then you go into the people. I'm on the next page, 110. The people of the known universe are not in balance with one another. To try to produce justice is to try to produce balance between each and every person in the known universe.
Okay.
And then he says, to produce balance between the people of the known universe is to eliminate the status quo. Mm-hmm. So my question today, and then I'll call back, is, Mr. Fuller, can you tell us how would you eliminate the status quo if you're not as a unified group? I mean, even in the movie, Andy, he only freed himself. He wasn't able to free everyone. So I'm saying, how is it that we can eliminate the status quo if we're not doing it all together?
Okay. What do we mean by together? That's what the code says. Together means you eliminate, in answer to the question, the status quo by having a code for doing so. Now, I wasn't intending to rhyme that, but it came out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you eliminate the status quo, which is the system of white supremacy, by having a system that when black people say we're together with what? That's why we keep having meetings, and everybody's looking, well, we're all together. I mean, physically, we're all in together when we're in jail.
Get together and do what?
In together doing what? So you got to be doing something. And what I am trying to say, screaming it, whatnot, getting out of focus and whatnot, like almost right now, I do it every time I'm on the air. I'm saying we need a code.
Mm-hmm.
That's together.
Mm-hmm.
See, in other words, when I say, I'm not doing that, I'm not looking at anybody, I'm not together with anybody else and whatnot. I mean, I see the water is running on the floor, and I say, what's the code for turning that water off or stopping the water from being on the floor?
Mm-hmm.
I say, I look at the source of it. I say, the faucet is running full force in the sink, and the sink has a stopper in it.
Yes.
And it's overflowing. So what does the code say? Not what somebody says is standing down on the corner or standing in line at the grocery store. I'm looking at the faucet. That's got nothing to do with the lady, even though she looks like me, or it has everything to do with the lady who is 6 blocks away buying groceries. I'm looking at the faucet, Neely Fuller, and the floor is covered with water because the faucet is on, the sink is overflowing. That's a code for that. The code is not for me to go down to the grocery store and start, hey, we got to be together. I'm standing there looking at the faucet. That's the code.
Mm-hmm.
Turn the faucet off, Fuller. You're talking about opening the door and running down the street and looking for the first black lady that's in line at the grocery store and running to her, telling her about a faucet that she doesn't even know about, has nothing to do with it, no connection with it, even though she might live in my building. The building that I'm in, I'll put it that way. That's the truth. All right, not my building. All right. See, that seeps into the language and everything. Everything is
right.
seeping with it. That's why we don't understand anything. We need a code.
Correct.
You don't look to get together with a person.
Correct.
You look to get together with a code. You see, I'm not doing that. That's a code violation. Sir, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Code? What code? Then that's when you start talking.
Right.
About it. It's a way of doing things that produce what? The most constructive result. So when I turn that faucet off and then get a mop, that's the next thing, then everything is the way it should be. And then when Miss Agnes, who's down there in line, gets into the building where I have the faucet on, you got plumbers all over the place saying, where's this water coming from? And now she hadn't said a word to me. But I stopped the thing by stopping the faucet. That was the code. There's a code for stopping a faucet. And this is one thing that black people, we're so used to being hurled somewhere, shoulder to shoulder, like in jail and on the bus and on the subway because they don't have enough cars and all like that. We think that everything functions the way it ought to because we are shoulder to shoulder. We're rubbing all up against each other. You can hardly breathe. That's what we call being together. Yes. Being together is problem solving. Figure out how to turn that faucet off. That's together.
That's together. Dollar Bill, you quoted from the book. Look at that title right there, because actually the answer to your question is right in the top of the book. The title of the book. What does it say? The title of the book. It says
United
what?
Independent.
Oh, wait a minute. Stop. Go slow. I'm make the point here. The United what?
United. Independent.
And what?
Independent. Yes.
See, United Independent Compensatory Code
System Concept.
System Concept. See, yeah. What Andy Dufresne did in the movie, he was united in what he was doing, but he did it independently. And, of course, Red, caught on. Not everybody's going to catch on. Not everybody's going to catch on to what you're doing. And he got a what? A little hammer, right? Or whatever you call that little thing. He discovered that the concrete was porous. And he took that little hammer. I don't know how long it was, but he took that little hammer and dug out a hole. You see, he was focused in his freedom. What do you want? Why do you want it? How do you plan on doing it? And he did. And that's what we have to do in this concept. United, but independent. And then he took the dirt in his pants, and I don't know how long it took him, but it took him maybe years to do it, and he walked around dispersing the dirt on the ground right in front of them because they didn't know what he was doing. But he did it, and he accomplished it and went through all those feces to gain his freedom. And that's what we have to do. Thank you, Dollar Bill. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank
you. All righty. Let's see here. Let's see. Wait a minute. Corey, I had you. There you go. Corey. Let me see if I can get you in here, Corey. Yeah. Okay. Little problems. Okay, Corey. Got you. Do your thing, Corey.
Greetings, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller. I just want to make a quick VGQ / question, but status quo is Latin for the way things are. And Mr. Fuller, you and I agree completely, the way things are incorrect. The way that things are, the status quo is unjust. So can you further explain for people who might not have the book what a person should expect, non-white or white, in trying to counter the system of racism, to counter the status quo? What can we all expect? I know what the answer is from the book, but I would like you to express it, Mr. Fuller. What does one expect to receive from fighting against the system of racism?
You've got to replace it with something better. Might as well keep the system of racism if you're not going to replace it with something better. And what is better than racism? Justice. Much better. Otherwise, we might as well keep racism if you're going to replace something. That's what I mean by compensate. Something is missing. What's missing? A thing called justice. Now, having said justice, what is justice? See, you got to define every word. You don't skip over anything in codified science. You don't skip, because whatever you skip is going to come back to bite you. Okay? So if you're just trying to accumulate money just to accumulate money, you might wind up doing something stupid with money. So have a plan. When you move money, have a plan and make sure that when I move this money from this place to another place, meaning giving it to somebody, I'm going to produce what? A constructive result. Otherwise, I ain't moving this money. Say, well, what do we got out here? Well, I got some drugs. Okay, drugs, what's that? Is that going to produce a constructive result? Well, I got some naked women. Okay, so what am I going to do with naked women? Well, you can be a pimp and make some more money. Oh, is that constructive? Is that what I need to be doing with my existence on this planet? That's a question. Is that going to produce the most constructive result? Me being a pimp, selling flesh, like the white supremacists did with my forefathers, and now with me, flesh peddler. We need to think. That's why part of the textbook, and I'm beginning to sound like I'm preaching now. No, just talk, Fuller. Textbook, workbook for thought, speech, and action. See, we need to think about everything that we say and do. Think about it. This thing I'm fixing to do, is it going to produce a constructive result?
Exactly.
It's going to be constructive or non-constructive. And make a vow from this moment on, you are never going to do or say anything that's not constructive.
Correct. You know, as you were speaking, Mr. Fuller, I couldn't help but think about the TV drama The Wire and some of the characters, Stringer Bell, Avon Boxdale, and all that. If you look what happened to them, Stringer got killed, you know, selling drugs, had plenty of money and property. Avon and them went to jail, got locked up, and all that kind of stuff. Was that the result that they wanted, fighting over turf, corners for drugs? A constructive result. No. All right, there, Corey.
I hope I answered the question.
Let me make sure.
You want to make sure.
Well, not fully, Mr. Fuller. I'll put it forward. I might not have all three of the words correctly, but in resisting against doing those things, being a pimp or putting bad things into your body or not producing constructive results. So going against the status quo is not doing those things, and one should expect to receive disappointment. I think it's disregard and death. Is that correct, Mr. Fuller?
Sure.
What you should do? Okay.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can expect that. This is a war. In a war, people get killed. Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get death. Martin Luther King died. Malcolm X died from trying to make things the way they ought to be. There's somebody, that they talk about all the time. That died on a cross. Jesus died at an early age, like a lot of black people do. 33 years old. That's not very old. That's the time to really start what you call living. But a person they talk about, Jesus of Nazareth, that was 2,000 years ago. He died. But they talk about it today. Just about round the clock somewhere. One person who was supposed to be an example of when you try to do something that's going to produce a constructive result, because I understand that he went around giving out advice, all right, and somebody said, well, the kind of advice you give, hey, I'm a Roman emperor. I believe in killing people for fun. And you got this guy walking around here, almost barefoot, ain't got no place to stay, and he's going to overrule me? I'm a Roman emperor. Tell that cat down there, in Egypt and wherever he is, you better stop that foolishness, or he's going to be dealing with the next thing to God, because I make gods. I'm a Roman emperor. I have gods, and I make gods. Gods don't make me. See, that's the white supremacist talking.
Mm-hmm.
Back to every black person who is saying, I don't approve of what you're doing. Miss Race Man, Mr. Race Man, Miss Race Woman. Why? Because it's not correct. So you are doing the things that will get you in trouble.
All right.
Now, if you're doing what the white supremacists want, you're still in trouble.
Still in trouble, correct.
Because they'll have you in a mindset where you start imitating, without even thinking about it, what they do. We act like we invented drive-by shootings. We're just as stupid as we can get. This is what I do, man. This is getting down with it. We got a million slangs for doing stupid stuff.
Stupid stuff, absolutely.
Getting down with it. What do you mean by getting down with it?
He even made a song called Get Down With It.
Yeah, get down with it. And then you say, well, you know, man. You got to get up with it.
Yeah.
Not getting down with it and then up with it. See, and this is supposed to be progressive. When we even talk like that. Getting down with it. Getting up with it. I'm going to write a song about getting down with it.
They have written a song like that.
And then I'm going to end the song saying, getting up with it. Now, I have accomplished something great. That's what you call.
Yeah. they have written a song by Bobby Martin called "Get Down with It." Bobby.
Oh,
Martin.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. But,
yeah, he wrote that song. Get Down with It. Yep.
Yeah, but we make up a few slogans and then we make songs out of the slogans, and then we say we have made super progress.
Yeah.
And there's not a word, and you can't find a line in that song that's going to produce some constructive thinking.
Alrighty.
That's going to produce constructive results.
Okay, well, we're going to get down with this and produce a constructive result. That is the end of the first hour of the Counter-Racist Coach with Mr. Neely Fuller. So we thank you for listening and hope something was said that you could be encouraging to you and you stay codified. Yeah. So if you got to go, okay, hopefully you will be back next week. But if you are going to be with us for the last hour, please stick and stay. Don't go away. More of the Counter-Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller coming up in, let's see here, about 5 seconds. All righty, welcome back to the second hour of the Counter-Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and we thank you for listening to today's programming. For those who are coming online or coming on the show and want to contribute to the show by a phone call, this is the number, 516-453-9921. You know what to do. You have a question or a brief comment, just press the number 1 button and wait until the contact clues you in, and then when they do, give them your name, please. First-time callers, do the exact same thing, only tell them that you are a first-time caller, and you go into the priority status, and that means you will be heard. MS, if you're out there, and I do know that you listen, you know you have that. Fuller said that you could call in anytime on any subject and call in, so you got that, MS. To be truthful about just about everybody has priority status. But anyway, good. All righty, let's see here. Oh, yes, for Mary and Leona, Mr. Fuller, and for everybody else, Mr. Fuller will be on this Thursday from 8 until 10 on the Carl Nelson Show. I made a boo-boo last week. Yes, I did. And so now it's corrected. He will be on the Carl Nelson Show from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m., and it is on our website at producejustice.com, producejustice.com. Our research department here researched that information I gave you last week about the audio books from, I guess it was from Amazon. I guess it's a standard letter. But our research team did check into that and found out that it was a form letter that that is Amazon Books, audio books, send out. But this research team has on it, checked it out, and Fuller said last week that he does not or did not do that. Fuller did not do that, and he hasn't endorsed anybody to do anything like that. But they're checking it out to make sure that everything is in compliance with what it is supposed to be in compliance with. Okay. All righty. Let's see. I believe that's it. Yes, books, code book, producejustice.com, producejustice.com. All the issues for the distribution of the books, the logistic areas have been settled, so you can get the book. It's on there. Okay, let's go into Colorado, and I think it's Mary. Let's see. Yeah, that's what it says here, Mary. Let me get this over here. Okay, Mary, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for taking the call. Mary at justiceradiostation.com, Friday at 8 p.m. Greetings, everyone. Mr. Fuller, I hear you talking about having the Constitution for United States as part of one's daily code. I agree. I'm thinking that without it, it will be harder to produce justice. Will you speak to the importance of the Constitution in one's life? I have a follow-up why I'm asking. Thanks.
Okay.
I'll stay on the line.
Okay, Mr. Fuller?
Because it's an excellent document for producing constructive results. That's the answer. It's a part of their code, really. Code just means something that works, either for better or for worse. Gangsters have a code. But what are the constructive results of being a gangster? People become harmed. Bible verses is a code, depending on what the verse is and whatnot. If it's a recommendation, things that are recommended for people to do. Everything is about either you're doing something constructive or you're doing something that's non-constructive. It's going to be one or the other. There's no wiggle room. It's either constructive or it's doing something that's non-constructive. Codification for black people should be, if it produces a constructive result, that's code that we recommend. If it's non-constructive, shouldn't be recommended and shouldn't be done. Confucius said, life is simple. Men make it complicated. I just read that recently on the TV screen about 3 weeks ago. I've been saying it ever since. I didn't know that Confucius said that. But I didn't think about it this is something Confucius said. I thought about it for what the code requires me to do. Not look at who says something. Look at what is said. And see if it should be said. And if it's something that somebody recites as having happened, first thing you want to know is it the truth? So that's all codification is about. Like I started off the first hour of this program saying, everything that I did yesterday, I gave illustrations. Was it constructive? Everything that I said, did it produce a constructive result? And that's the way it should be. Everything that you say every day to everybody, you should ask yourself, was that constructive? Did it produce a constructive result? Did it correct a mistake that was made by me or by others? That's what everybody, that's a part of, when you say code, there's no such thing as Neely Fuller's code. It's just code, either for better or for worse. You want to make sure that everything that you do, every move you make, every word that you use produces a constructive result. It helps to correct something. And if it doesn't, you should ask what? Why? Because mistakes are supposed to be corrected. And everybody makes mistakes.
Yes.
So when you spot it in yourself or in anybody else, don't focus on the person. Focus on what was done constructive or non-constructive. What was done? Focus on the action. It's the action that counts. When you use that particular curse word, did it make the world a better place? Or did it make it worse than it was before you said it? Well, then don't say it next time around. Don't do anything that's non-constructive. That's all code is about. Confucius was correct. life is simple. Men make it complicated.
Men make it complicated. Okay. Let's see. Mary, you said that you had a follow-up?
Yes. My concern, Mr. Fuller, is that global white supremacists who are part of the Democratic Party has been conditioning, bamboozling us to redefine what is a woman while giving promises about what we can get if we vote for a woman. I'm concerned that they are not concerned about Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, Constitution. In essence, we will lose freedom and liberty to produce justice. What say you? I'll stay on the line. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, for one thing, when we say, and this is code, this is the codified requirement, what is a Democrat? What is the Democratic Party? See, we got to be precise at our words. What is it? What is a Democrat? Does anybody answer questions? And most of the time, questions are not answered because they haven't been asked. See, I keep saying a part of the code is be precise about every word that you say. If Neely Fuller says Democrat, what's a Democrat? What does a Democrat do that someone who isn't a Democrat doesn't do? Otherwise, why say, is a Democrat a person, number one? Or is it a donkey or whatnot? Or an elephant? Or a rhinoceros? Or a squirrel? Now, symbolically, they say a donkey and is a Democrat. I mean, that's the symbol. But a Democrat is a donkey? Well, no, not really. I mean, but that's just symbolic and whatnot. Well, hey, why do you need a donkey to be a Democrat when you're talking about a person? A person does something. A donkey does something. So you got 1,000 questions just on a word like that, Democrat. What's a Democrat? Well, Democrat ain't no Republican. I mean, wait a minute, hold it now. What's a Democrat? Answer one question at a time. See, that's the codified way. We got to get our words straight. Ducks in a row. Don't skip over anything. Just our words. If I was in court today and I say we're all on trial, and I am in court all the time, but if I was sitting in what we call a courthouse, and the judge would say to me something about a Democrat, I would say, Judge, I don't know what a Democrat is. Sir, ma'am, Your Honor, always be polite. That's a requirement of the code. What is a Democrat? What is a Republican? I don't know. I still don't know. Right today, I have no idea of what a Democrat is. I have no idea of what a Republican is. Benjamin Franklin said we have a republic. He says that. That came from Benjamin Franklin. He said, we have a republic if we can keep it. So if he was around now, I would ask him, what's a republic? He said, well, look in the dictionary, Fuller. Well, I've looked in the dictionary. I still don't know what a Republican is. That's different from a Democrat.
Okay.
I don't know what either one of them means. I know what white supremacy means. Because they saw to it that they know what it means. I'm white, and you are not. And so I have a license to mistreat you, Fuller, with your thick Negro skull. You got that? And if you ain't got it, I can show you in about 2 minutes. And then he gives me a swift kick.
Okay. All right.
To make the point.
To make a point. All right, Mary from Colorado, we will leave you on the line. Before I go to the next caller, this right here. For Black Tony, listen, Black Tony, you wanted to know about the so-called United States as a corporation. All caps. Listen, all caps. The United States, all caps. Put United States in all caps. You can Google it, and then you'll find out who the so-called United States is owned by. All caps now. Then you'll find out. Okay. This comes from 24 Scientist. Says this. There are 3 questions, but I'm only going to do them one at a time, but not necessarily in order. It says here, Mr. Fuller, look, we appreciate all the work you've done with this era of time. Your podcast has been helpful for a decade or more. However, some of the premises, and this is in quotes, logical reasoning, end of quotes, may be off and subject to affecting code work. He has 3 questions. I'll start with number 3. Number 3, and I'm supposing that you apparently said this. I don't know, but anyway, he has a date down here. It says, white supremacy is not the greatest force in the universe beside the Creator. That thinking has the Creator absent and the white man as God, not a God body model. Your lack of knowledge about astroarchaeology may hurt logic. November 15th, 2022, etc. Mr. Fuller, what say you?
Well, I have to understand what's being said. He said something about my premise of white supremacy is not logical.
Yeah, he says, wait a minute, let me go back up here. He says, Mr. Fuller, we appreciate all the work you've done with this
I got
era.
that.
Yeah, okay. I'm just reading it, so I'll make sure I get everything. It says, your podcast has been helpful for a decade or more. However, some of your premises, logical thinking or logical reasoning, he has that in quotations, may be off and subject to affecting code work. That's all it says.
So, wherever that means, it sounds like what is being said is that I've made mistakes in
That's
judgment.
what it sounds like to me, but I don't know. He gave 3 examples, and I'm only reading.
And I'm quite sure I have.
Yeah.
I don't know of anybody who doesn't make mistakes. So
correct.
The way to correct that's what the code is all about. You find out where the mistakes were made. So if I have said something that is a mistake, you correct mistakes. Where was the mistake made? I made a mistake in judgment. But what was the mistake? See, that's what codification is about. Okay. That's why we supposed to have a codified procedure. There's a procedure. And the procedure for correcting all mistakes is what? Finding out what the mistake was and then coming up with a code to correct the mistake.
Okay.
Very simple.
Here's what he said. Number 3. I guess this was a mistake that apparently you've made. It says this, number 3. white supremacy is not the greatest force in the universe beside the Creator. That thinking has the Creator absent and the white man as God, not a God body model. Your lack of knowledge about astroarchaeology may hurt the logic. And I guess this was said November the 15th, 2022.
Okay, what does the code say about what he said? It says, everybody who hears this should study it. What the person who just saying this to me, that's the way the code says that it's supposed to be handled. And when I hear it, what does the code require me to do? That everybody, including myself, should study what he said. And if it has something to do with
archaeology,
whatever the word is he used, whatever he said, and I guess continues to say, well, that's the answer that needs to be corrected. And how all things corrected? Asking questions. So the first thing I ought to do, and the first thing I'm doing now, is asking him, what is it in that word that he used? Because I'm not familiar with the word.
Okay. Alrighty.
What does that mean? That I need to study in order to correct the mistake that I apparently have made, that the white supremacists are not powerful,
not the greatest force in the universe.
I mean, okay, the secondary force, that's, because that's what I have said, I think. I've said, next to what we call God or the Creator or Allah or Jehovah, whatever the Creator, that's how I prefer to call it, what we call God. I prefer to call it, I understand the word God, but I prefer the word, me, myself, the Creator.
The Creator, yes, sir. Okay.
Yes.
Now, he asked 3 questions, so that was just one, and I'm going to go to the other ones as the show progresses. But right now, I'm going to take a phone call, and I'm going to go to the Midwest and Leona. Okay, Leona, get ready. Let me see here. Leona, okay, right there. Okay, there you go. Leona, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Good morning.
Good morning, Grand Rising, to you, Mr. Bobby, and to you, Mr. Fuller.
You.
I have a quick VGQ and a quick question, if you don't mind, Mr. Fuller. Normally I listen to the Produce Justice show here by means of the website, Produce Justice Radio, Produce Justice. But today I was unable to do that, so I'm listening by way of the Blog Talk Radio connection. On the Produce Justice website, it has the show from September 17th listed, and for some reason I'm unable to listen live.
You mean right now?
Yes, sir. Yes,
wow.
Sir. Now, it could just be me. I don't know, but I just thought, I don't know if you haven't had any more reports about it, but I'm grateful to be able to tune in the other route by means of Blog Talk Radio. But I do hope that today's show will be recorded on the Produce Justice, website at some point.
Wow.
That was my VGQ.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Hold, just to be sure, those that are in the control room or so forth, because this is the second person that has mentioned that the show was not live on ProduceJustice.com. Thank you, Leona. So this is for the producers. If you can check into that, because evidently she had to turn into ProduceJustice.com to get the show, Leona?
I had to, via Blog Talk Radio. I had to do
via Blog Talk. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Normally I listen to it on the Produce Justice website.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I'll have them look into that, and they'll tell me what's going on. Okay. Thank you for that information. Wow. Okay. Go ahead, dear.
Okay. My question is, Mr. Fuller, sir, listen, is it a mistake for non-white people, for a non-white person to think or believe that she or he can limit or control the amount of information that white supremacists or white supremacist suspect collect on you. What I mean is there's a lot of data collection that goes on, a lot of data mining that goes on. If you want to, I had an instance recently where I went to a financial institution to take care of some business, and they wanted to know seemingly my whole life history. And I found that a little bit annoying, but I did stay in the question lane to the best of my ability. But my question to you, sir, is it a mistake for a non-white person to believe that they can keep a secret or not disclose information to white supremacist suspects or white supremacists? I hope that makes sense. Is there a way to limit all that data collection, or is it, again, a mistake to believe that one can control? I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Whatever information you give to anybody must produce a constructive result. Mm-hmm. And so you find out, first of all, what kind of questions are going to be asked, and what is the purpose for the person asking the question. Mm-hmm. And because you're in their prison. See, we're born in prison. So it's like the prison master asking us questions about our background. But what the code says about giving information is that the white supremacists usually already have the information that they want on you. They just want to see if you're going to lie. Because the white supremacists are the masters of lies. They know how to tell lies better than anybody, all right? Say they know how to find out if you're going to lie so that they can present you with the lie. They'll say, well, we have a record. We know that you were in this place or that place. We got your fingerprints all over, where you were all over that place, where you say you have never been. See, and many a black person in what they call a holding room has found that out. That question that they're asking, they already know the answer. But sometimes they don't. So they have you guessing. They have you squirming. So they usually know, or they can find out. But they usually know in advance. That's an old trick. Mm-hmm. They will have a list of questions, 200 of them, and they know the answer to all of them. They already know it about you. They get recordings all over the place, fingerprints, everything. Got you on record, saying things. That's your voice. Yeah. I mean, you can assume that. So that's what I'm saying. Like I'm on the air now, and I'm being informed of something that I didn't know. I don't know. I don't know the technicalities and whatnot. That I'm not even on my own broadcast. That I'm on another broadcast. See, the white supremacists know all this. They know this in advance. Yes. And they will say, well, you on this, and nearly full. I'm sitting there, I'm dumbfounded because I don't even know what they're talking about. But they do. All right. They say, Fuller, were you on ProduceJustice.com? And I'll say, well, yes. But then they'll say, no, you just told a lie. Well, of course, you're on, what is it you were telling me a while ago, what the lady just told me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That I'm on what? Well, you're actually on ProduceJustice.com, and I was going to make an announcement because management just told me what to tell Leona and anybody else
that is experiencing the problem, just management said to refresh your browser, and it will be okay. So can you do that?
I've done that several times, but I'll do it again.
Yeah, well, yeah. You did it several times.
Is everything working the way it should?
Okay, it's live now. Yeah.
Okay.
It's live now.
Yeah, management was correct, but I do thank you, Leona, for pointing that out because somebody else did too, and management jumped right on it and got it together. So you're live, Mr. Fuller, on ProduceJustice.com.
That's what I mean by code.
Yeah.
Like I gave the example of the faucet being on. See, you ask questions. I'm asking a question now. Is it mistake being corrected? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
That's all code is. Correcting mistakes. That's what it's all about. That's what all my writings are about. The system of racism is a mistake. Why? Because it harms people. That's why. And nobody's supposed to be harmed.
Yeah.
Deliberately.
Okay. Well, I thank Leona and the other people that had informed me, about that because I didn't know that was going on. But management got in it and corrected it, so everything is where it is supposed to be. Thank you.
Look at the word you just used, manage.
Yeah.
See, codification is about managing. But see, in order to, what the white supremacists say is, order to be a manager, you have to have first a man or a woman.
Okay.
All right, the womb of man. See how words do it all?
Yes, sir.
That's what codification is, about getting the words straight first.
Yes, sir. Okay.
A man, and so that's why they call Neely Fuller what? Boy. So you can't be a man. There's only one man on the planet, and he's white. All right? So therefore, what are you? You are a boy. Because boys have to listen and be guided by man, manager, woman, the womb of man, which that makes her a manager, a type of man, woman, womb. Woe means womb, shorten.
Yes, shorten.
See how the words work?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And we just solved the problem right here on the program. That's what code is about, problem solving.
And now we have to solve this problem. Thank you, Leona. We got to take a quick break here, and we'll do that. You are listening to the Counter Racist Code Show with Neely Fuller Jr., and I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby. We thank you for listening in, and you heard a live mistake that was corrected live on the air. That's what it's all about. That's one of the things it's all about, is to do that. Contact number, because we enjoy your contacts and your Gmails. All you have to do is contact us, or here's the number, 516-453-9921. Press the number 1 button so we can get you in here, give them your name. First-time caller, still got an opening for you. You know what to do. Just make sure you give them the same information plus that you are a first-time caller. Gmail me. You can. The numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, MRBOBBY@gmail.com. And for my buddy AP, yes, it is fully working now. Corrected that mistake, so it's all good. And you can do that. I will get your Gmails and at a certain point in time and read it. And thanks to Leona, Blog Talk is working good for chat room, blogtalkradio.com. You want to click on programs, you can get it right there. The program that you want is the Produce Justice Show. You click that, and you are on there, and you can get into the chat room. All righty. That's how you do that. Fuller will be on this Thursday. I made a mistake last week saying that Fuller would be on the Carl Nelson Show on the 19th. That was incorrect information. I got it corrected. Fuller will be on this Thursday the 26th of September from 8 until 10 on the Carl Nelson Show. He will be on there. So make sure that you tune in and listen to. I'm accept, all the mistakes. Okay, it's my fault. Blame me. I said something wrong, but I, did try to correct that. All right. So if you can forgive me, please do. If you can't, okay, I accept that too, and you don't have to. Anyway, I think that's the latest. Oh, yeah, books. Yeah, books. ProduceJustice.com. Everything is up to par. Management let me know that. The logistics of the situation were corrected. Refunds, if you want one, were available for those of you who requested a refund. And if you wanted to reorder your books, you can. They're all in. Everything is everything. I forgot who made that song, Everything is Everything, but it's in there. Okay. I'm going to go to AP, and then we're going to hopefully have a chance to get back to that letter that brother wrote. Okay. Let's go to AP. Let's see if I can get it on there. Okay, AP, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Good morning. What is your question?
Grand Rising, Mr. Bobby,
yes,
and
sir.
Mr. Neely Fuller. You answered the question today because I was just going to speak to the last caller who made a point about the online, the radio show showing September 17th as a live call. It did not. It was just corrected 5, 7, 10 minutes ago through her call. But that to me is either a mistake was made and you all corrected in a manner that you did, or the usual suspects are in play to help, diffuse Mr. Fuller's voice from being heard to the radio audience. That's how I look at that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
What just occurred, because this must have happened before in the same manner, because I've gone through this before, and in fact, you know that I've called you to ask you, were you on the did you do a radio show?
Yes.
Before, have we not had that conversation?
Yes, we've had that conversation, yes.
Okay, now with what the process, and this is sometimes what I've had to do with dealing with your radio show, there's like a 30-second lag in the phone call from a home phone when someone calls your show versus a cell phone calling your show. I have done both to listen and also try to get my questions together for Mr. Fuller. Now, with the process of what happened just now with the blog radio, what happened when I heard the last caller say that she had to use blog radio, when I went to pushing blog radio, and then after that it was corrected, the blog radio broadcast showed a plan that you had to buy, $39 to, I think, log into blog radio. That just happened today, and it's an issue because it's an issue because it's something that I want you all to be on cue about, to correct that like you did, because this morning around 9:07 when I tried to log into the show, it showed September 17th. I couldn't get the live broadcast through my cell phone. So I came home and called the radio program, and for all other callers who try to call your program, you have to push number 1 to get in to the program to get to be a caller. You know what I mean? To make either VGQ or ask Mr. Neely Fuller a question. So you have to push number 1. Otherwise, you can call through a home phone or a cell phone and just listen to the broadcast without even a radio in your car or whatever. So I did want to make that point. Mr. Fuller, would you please speak to something that I had talked to you about several months ago about truth being withheld, and that the usual suspects or suspected racist white supremacists will say almost anything just to, for example, the manner in which what we see in Donald Trump and his shenanigans, his just brazen lying that he does. And I asked you about this before with how do you combat that? And you said something that I already knew, with truth. But what can you really do about a brazen, bold-faced liar who does not care about what he says? He does not care about what truth is, he wants to say what he wants to say, and any followers who can follow that and jump on board with it, he doesn't care about that. And that's the depraved mannerisms that I speak about when I talk about a movie that you've talked about before, a modern-day Caesar, a Caligula. And I'll just take your answer off the air, and may I please stay on the line? Would you speak to it?
Well, I don't name call, for one thing. And as far as what a person says, the code requires me, that's why we need a code. A code requires me to say, well, he said what he said. You don't get emotional about it or anything. The code says, because this works better. That's the conclusion I came to. He can say anything he wants to say about anything. Not only him, anybody else. Say what you want to say. I believe in, and this is where we get to the Constitution if we want to use that, freedom of speech. So a person wants to say something, I always say, every meeting I go to, let the person speak. People at a meeting, I'll give this as an illustration. I've even turned, when I'm making a presentation of the code, I've turned the pointer over, because sometimes I worked at a blackboard or something, or a board with some writing on it and whatnot, and I'd refer to it. I've sometimes erased everything that I put on the board. And I told in one instance, a black person who spoke from the back of the room, when he said what the person said, I'll give this as an illustration, how the code works. The person said, "You are misleading the people." And I said, "Sir, if you don't mind, you can come down. You can come down here and say what you have to say so that everybody can hear you. Because I am not supposed to be misleading people." And so he came down, and he took the pointer. I offered it to him. And he spoke for about 10 minutes until the people in the audience said, "Okay, brother, we've heard enough. But we came here to hear Mr. Fuller." Because that was true. But I didn't stop him. I welcomed him. So the reason I'm saying this here on the air, Mr. Donald Trump, and you have heard me mention him almost 0 times here on this program, because according to the code, I say freedom of speech. Let him say whatever he wants to say. Because I can't stop him no way, that's number one. And then another thing, why would I? If you have freedom of speech, if they're going to allow me to speak, allow him to speak. And then you say, well, look at what he's saying. Now, look at it. That's what the code says. Because that's what I did when I offered the person the pointer. I listened to what the person was saying. He said I was misleading the people. Okay. He says, I can lead them. Now, I took that as a signal. So lead them. Lead me. I'm just talking. I haven't solved the race problem. The code repeats that. Over and over, nobody has solved the race problem. So the only experts on racism are the racists themselves. There are no other experts but the people who practice white supremacy. They're the only experts on white supremacy. People who say, I know how to solve it, haven't proven it. The white supremacists prove everything that they say. They prove it. When they say they can do this to black people, they prove it. The record shows they can prove it. We can do great harm to you, and you don't know how to harm me. And if you don't believe me, try me. And everybody who's tried has failed. So there's no such thing as a black expert on racism. Everybody who has tried has failed so far, but you haven't failed according to the code until you stop trying.
Okay. All righty. All right, thank you, AP. Let's move back to the brother, the 24th scientist. This is, I guess, according to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The second question in that series, you answered the third question, Mr. Fuller, about white supremacy is not the greatest force in the universe. You answered that. This is the second question. Let me read the first part again. It says, Mr. Fuller, we appreciate all the work you've done with this era of time. Your podcast has been helpful for a decade or more. However, some of the premises, which is logical reasoning, in quotations, may be off and subject to affecting code work. Number 2, hybrid creatures are a fact of nature, which is the universe. The insects and worms we see are intelligent life forms and may be present on other planets. This was allegedly said December the 20th, 2022. I'm presuming by you, Mr. Fuller. What say you?
Well, it may be true.
Okay.
I can't say that's not true. That, if I understand what the question was or what the statement was about, that there are creatures on other planets, Neely Fuller's never said, I hope, that I know what's going on other planets. I don't know what's going on any planet, including this one, compared to what I should know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Somebody told me that I was covered with insects. I didn't know that until maybe about 50 years ago, that I'm walking around covered with insects. What do you call it? Dust mites.
Dust mites,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that every dust mites are so microscopic, and they serve a purpose. They eat dead skin, and you're covered with them, millions of them. Every person on the planet, not only persons, creatures.
Right.
And anything that's got skin, those dust mites are feeding off of that dead skin.
And when they
by
eat
the millions, by the millions.
Yes.
Yes.
They produce
that's their food.
mite. They produce mite feces, and mite feces, as any feces, stinks. That's why you stink. Have to wash it off.
Yes, I mean the conglomerate of it.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know that. Walking around 24/7 and say that I'm clean. I've got plenty of soap. I take a bath every day. I take a shower every day and whatnot. But you're not killing those dust mites. They're there. They are ingrained in you, and they are eating full time. I mean, by the millions, they are eating dead skin. If they weren't there doing that, you would be dead, from what I understand.
There you go. All right. And the third question in the trilogy of questions was this. Again, this person is saying some of the premises, your logical reasoning, may be often subject to affecting code work. And this was the first question, which is the last question. You allegedly said on December the 20th, 2022, only the female can breastfeed ever, never the male in any species.
Have I said that?
Well, allegedly, because they got a date down here, December 20th, 2022. I don't remember that, but
I don't remember saying that.
Yeah. Oh, I don't recall, but evidently, your work.
But here's what: code takes care of all that.
Right.
If I said that and it's not true, then that's not supposed to be said. If what I said was, anything that I say, if it's not true, let the whole world know what you said on this particular day is not true. And then what the code says, what is true should be said.
Okay. Well,
and that becomes a part of the code. Because hey, you don't say nothing about anything in the code ever. Because that ain't code. It ain't supposed to be in the compensatory code. So you make up for that by saying what is true.
Okay. Since we're there on that, as far as you know, in recorded history, heard, seen, thought, whatever, have you ever heard of, it says here only females can breastfeed ever and never any males of any species. Have you ever heard of a male breastfeeding?
I hadn't heard of it, but it might be true. I can understand. I can understand how that could be true, because I think I suspect. Now this is coming from me. I suspect at one time it was true. Why? Because males have nipples. What were those nipples for? Over a period of time, they disappeared because they were no longer needed. That's the conclusion I've come to. That males used to have full breasts. But over time, on account of the males became the hunters, and you might say somebody had to nurture the children, so little by little, the male breasts began to disappear, because if you study nature, things that are not working and serving a constructive purpose disappear.
Okay.
Why? And it's logical. They're not doing anything. Like the dust mites does something.
Yeah,
I mean, they eat the garbage off your body.
Off your body. Absolutely.
Dead skin is garbage. Right.
Okay. The person in the 917, while we have a few moments, you might want to give the call person that you're connecting show with your name, so I can give you your name. Mr. Fuller, what are your thoughts on the new COVID vaccine and the flu shot? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that it's something that
go ahead.
my thoughts are that on the question is the new COVID vaccine.
Right, the new COVID vaccine and the new vaccine for influenza for 2024.
And it's new. It's something that just came out. I hadn't had any thoughts about it except I'm being informed about it. And is it recommended that people take it?
Well, yes, particularly people who are over 65. Okay, yeah, all right. Well, for your information, maybe you want to check that out then, and give us information on that.
Well, somebody who knows, I mean, can, say whatever that is. I don't know enough about it to make any comment. I do know that I took the COVID shot and the booster shot. I'll say that. I took it.
Yeah, you
know,
did
a lot
say
of
that.
people
I remember
didn't take
that.
it. And I know of some people who got the COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, who did not take it. I don't, so it was a roll of the dice with me if anybody asked. I mean, I said, I don't know whether this is poison or not.
Right.
And it
You
may
did say
still
that.
be poison.
Yeah, I remember you did say that.
It may have cured one thing and caused something that's going to harm me otherwise. But I took a gamble. But everything that I do is a gamble in the system of white supremacy because I never know what they are doing. They know more than I do. I'll put it that way.
All right.
They know more than I do. The white supremacists are my, they are my masters, okay? So, my masters tell me about everything. My masters allow me to write a book.
You did. Okay.
The white supremacists are in charge of me. I'm not in charge of them.
Okay. So let's get this last caller in. Toussaint, New York. Man, you barely made it. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm glad I made it. Mr. Fuller, my question is, we live in a system where we are imposed on us that white people are attractive. And that led me to believe, because, white women are and white men are supposed to be the beauty standard. So I just wanted to ask, if we've been forced to view white people as the beauty standard, do we know if any of our emotions are real? If our emotions are generated underneath this system of white supremacy? I hope that makes sense.
Okay. Yes, that's a question. And I hadn't thought about it, so I'll think about it. What's the answer? It's either yes or no. But I tend to believe that it would be yes, under the system of white supremacy. See, I'm their illegitimate child. They raised me, if you want to call it raising. Before I was born into their system. There's not some other system somewhere, that governs me, other than the Creator, but the Creator allows the white supremacists to do what they do. Or otherwise, they couldn't do what they do. The white supremacists come secondary to the Creator. That's the way I understand it. And the Creator and the many white people say this, who believe in white supremacy. They say, sure, I believe in a Creator, but the Creator made me, a white person, to dominate you people that the Creator made that are black.
Okay.
So that's why I dominate them, because that's my assignment as a white person. They don't know anything that I don't teach them. They don't have no mysterious source. Otherwise, why are they complaining?
They're complaining.
If they know so much, how come they're doing what I tell them to do?
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Sorry about that. Got to leave it there. Thank you, Toussaint, for calling in. Douglas in Pennsylvania. Didn't get to you. I'm going to call you and let you know. Listen, Douglas in Pennsylvania, got you on the screen. Call in next week. I'm going to give you priority status, so you can get in, because you were late in getting in here. But call in next week. We'll give you priority status. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Sorry that our show wasn't clear, but you know what to do now. Hit the refresh button, and then where we are supposed to be, as AP said, the usual suspects or whatever. Something happened in there. But it's straight now. It's straight now. Okay, forgive me for all the mistakes that I have made. I did apologize earlier, and I'm going to do it again, because there was some stuff that was going on. But anyway, we're here. We thank you for listening to the program, for all of your calls, all of your thoughts. Thank you for being a participant in today's show. Don't forget, the book can be gotten or obtained by going to producejustice.com, producejustice.com. I think that's it. Final words or final things go to you, Mr. Fuller. 30 seconds. Do your thing.
Keep on trying to get constructive results in everything that you think, do, and say. And that's how I started off, and because that's what it's all about. You just keep trying, find out what that you can do that produce constructive results, and then do your best with what you have to do it.
Okay.
And just keep doing it. That's what this whole program is about.
All righty. ProduceJustice.com. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Hey, everybody, have a good week. All right, bye.
When your celebration of life is prepaid in advance, it becomes a gift from you to your family later, because no one should have to plan for a loss while they're experiencing one. Paying in advance protects your loved ones and gives you the peace of mind you deserve. Let us help you plan every detail with professionalism and compassion. We are your local Dignity Memorial provider. Find us at dignitymemorial.ca.
You help your friends with everything, whether it's renovating their basement, watching their kids from time to time, or shoveling their sidewalk when they're out of town. So why wouldn't you help them when they're hurting? If you know someone who may have mental health problems, let them know support is available, online or in person, with no wait list or financial worry. Visit counselingalberta.com for more information. Because if friends won't help friends, who will?